Hi, welcome to today's live coffee chat. I'm Sierra Bush. I'm the founder of Creative Edge Travel, and I help immersion seekers experience Italy's far-flung places, those fading traditions, and the honestly phenomenal nature that's in the lesser known areas of Italy, all through genuine connection with the local people. So if you're itching to visit Italy soon, hopefully when this pandemic is over and it's safe to travel again, go to our website, creativeedgetravel.com, and check out our experiences. And we even have some virtual experiences now, so definitely give those a look. Let me set up my screen here and be sure I can see your comments. Let's see. Facebook is not user friendly. Okay, let's see. Almost there. All right, I believe I'll be able to see your comments. Maybe. Okay, I think it's setting. Yeah, got it. Hi, Jana. Thanks for coming. Okay, so Facebook is not now I'm echoing. Oh, hold on. Okay, I think it's set now. Okay, so it's a new month and sort of a start to a new season. September, I automatically start anticipating winter and cold. I know it doesn't make sense because we still have a lot of good weather left, but I immediately start to feel sad that summer is almost over. But anyway, so today I wanted to share some unique festivals that happen in September in Italy. And these are a great way for you to experience the culture in a deeper way. A lot of these festivals attract mostly locals if you know the right ones to go to and how to find them. And they add something unique to your itinerary rather than just sightseeing. You can kind of be immersed for a day. The culture can come to you. You'll have a lot of different events going on to take part in. You don't have to like plan your itinerary. You can just go to that village and hang out all day. There's usually cool things going on for the kids as well if you're traveling with kids. So before I dive in, if you like my background here, there's a link in the description to our 10 free Zoom backgrounds. These are virtual backgrounds that you can easily download, and it's really easy to add them to your Zoom. So you can check that out at the link in description. So let's dive in after a sip of coffee. Okay. So the first one is medieval festivals, and I kind of generalized this because there are tons of these all over Italy throughout the year. And I know when you heard the topic of today's coffee chat, 10 unique September festivals in Italy, you may have thought about harvest festivals and like grape harvesting and wine. But for this coffee chat, in typical Creative Edge fashion, I wanted to focus more on unique events that you wouldn't have thought of. So just know that if you want a wine or a harvest type festival, you can easily find those just with a quick Google search in any area that you're in Italy. So I will touch on medieval festivals here because they are really, really fun. And especially in the setting of a small medieval village, it really all comes to life when it's well done. And you're there in this village that probably looked pretty much the same as when it was the medieval ages. So at a medieval festival, they'll usually have parades. So you'll see people dressed up in costumes and they have characters. And there's the jester and different characters that you would have seen in a royal court. So that's interesting. And you'll see people dressed in costume. You'll see staged banquets and royal weddings. They'll stage a wedding, and they'll have performers that come to entertain the couple, and they'll have live performances, jesters. They'll have witches, craftsmen that you can check out them like carving things and making things by hand, fire dancers, all kinds of performances and demonstrations. There's one I went to in Monteriggioni in Tuscany where you had this guy that was turning grinding wheat into flour right there. So you could see like the mechanisms they used. And then right next to them were these women that were turning the flour into little pizzas and selling them to the visitors. So I thought that was super cool. And they had different things like that too. Some medieval festivals will have a joust and a palio, which is a bareback horse race. And you should also know that not all medieval festivals are created equal. I've been to some where the costumes really seemed like cheap costumes, and others where I was nearly convinced that I had stepped back in time. It was really beautiful and I had such a great time. So if you want to hear about one that I really loved that really transported me, there's a link in the description to a festival, the one I mentioned in Monteriggioni. So you can check that blog post out just to like read more about it and see some photos. So the second festival, so this is Corsa degli Asini in Fagagna. That village is difficult to keeps tripping me up. Fagagna. So Corsa degli Asini means donkey race. So they transformed the main piazza of the village into a racetrack, and they race donkeys with carts attached where the riders sit. I don't know the technical racing terms, if they call it a jockey if he's not on the horse. I don't know. It's not even a horse either, so I'm clueless. But anyways, it's a cart where the rider sits and then it's attached to the donkey, and they race and they take it very seriously. And this year is actually the 129th Corsa degli Asini. And I have a photo I want to try to show you if I can manage it. Let's see. Share screen. Okay. So I think you might be seeing my screen at the moment and all my notes. Okay, so here's the photo. So you can see the donkeys and little carts attached. So I just thought that was cool and give you a little visual there. So stop sharing. Okay. So that's pretty cool. I've never heard of donkey racing before. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you think that sounds fun. I would definitely love to hang out and watch a donkey race. Let me fix my screen again here so I can see your comments. Okay. All right, so moving on to number 3. This one is for music lovers. This is a Baroque music festival. It's held in San Gimignano, which is it's a pretty popular Tuscan town, so you might have heard of it. It's the one with all the towers. So in the old times, the rich people of the city had kind of a race to see who could build the tallest towers. So the taller it was, the more wealth and power you had. And so it was like this mini skyscraper village, and not all of, actually only a fraction of the towers are still there, but yeah, you can imagine back in the day, this medieval village with these really tall towers. So that's where this Baroque music festival takes place, and it's just hours of opera and Baroque music concerts by professional singers and musicians in a beautiful, charming medieval setting. So you can imagine how magical that would be. Janice says she feels bad for those donkeys. I mean, I don't know how they treat them. I would definitely need to like look into that and see, but that's definitely something to consider anytime you're visiting, anytime you're traveling and there's some type of attraction that has to do with animals. You always want to check and kind of look at and see how they're treating the animals. So that's a good point, Jenna. Thanks for bringing that up. So festival number 4 is Corsa dei Zingari, or the Gypsy Race. And this is held in Abruzzo in the mountains. So gypsy in this case doesn't mean nomad, but it's actually ancient dialect for the one who walks barefoot. So they take this very seriously as well. It's young boys and sometimes girls that run a path that goes through the mountainous brush and stones, through a river, and then back through the village up to the main church, the Madonna di Loreto. And they do it all barefoot. So they run this race completely barefoot. There's a team of doctors and nurses that are waiting at the altar to treat their feet, which are probably bleeding by the point that they get there. So there were pictures for this too. I'll spare you that one. But yeah, the winner is paraded down the street and the winner's parents serve wine in front of their house to celebrate. So this one has actually been going on for 500 years, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I don't think I'll be running any races barefoot, but it'd be interesting to see. All right, so number 5 is Kite Festival in Urbino. So this is a competition to see who can fly their handmade kite the highest. This is a great one for if you have kids and you want to do something fun. It's really beautiful to see the kites flying above the medieval village. But yeah, you should check it out, Kite Festival in Urbino. The next one is Clown Festival in Monte San Giusto. So immediately when I read this one, I was thinking, oh my gosh, a town just filled with clowns. Are you serious? Sounds a little bit scary. But it's actually not clowns that we typically think of. It really means more like acrobats and performers, dancers, magicians, things like that. So it's as if the whole circus takes over your entire town. So everywhere throughout the town, there are these performances going on. So they gather in the village for shows and plays, exhibitions, and even workshops and conferences for people that are interested in clown life and performance and circus acrobats and things like that. So that's interesting. It's called Tutti Matti per Colorno. Tutti Matti per Colorno. Okay, so number 7 is Tour of Giants. And this is said to be the most difficult trail in the world. I'm sure there are some competing trails, but I guess it means running trails. So it's in northern Italy, and it's more than 205 miles of running in the Alps. Not barefoot this time though, but it must be completed in less than 150 hours. Only 60% of people finish this race, and it's actually a rather new festival. It started in 2010, and it takes place in northern Italy in the Alps, so it's kind of on the border, and it takes 2,000 volunteers to facilitate the event. The total elevation from when they start to, or the total elevation gained during the race is 78,700 feet. So this just kind of blows my mind. I can't really imagine running 205 miles. They have different check-in points. You know, they have kind of stations where you can get treated and get taken care of. And then they have bigger stations where you can rest. And I think they sleep, they must. They sleep, it's several days long and they sleep along the way. So wow, yeah. That's pretty intense. So I want to know in the comments if that's something you would ever attempt. I know there are some super adventurous people out there. If that's something that sounds fun to you, I would be curious to know. So drop me a note in the comments if you would run the Tour of Giants. Okay, so I kind of cheated here. I kind of put number 8, 9, and 10 all together. Because there were so many really cool, unique food festivals, and I wanted to talk about many of them. So the rest of these, I'm just going to run through a bunch of different types of food festivals. So in Italy, usually when you have a festival that is dedicated to one specific type of food, it's called a sagra. It doesn't even have to be a food, it can also be a dish. One time I was in Italy and I tried to make it, but I couldn't. had a conflict, but I really wanted to make it to this sagra of fried zucchini flowers. So like the most random thing you can imagine, they'll have a whole party to celebrate that it exists. It's just pretty cool. So these are called sagra. One sagra, one sagra, two sagre. Due means two in Italian, so I was just jumping the gun there. So these sagre, they take place, I mean, almost every little village in Italy has a sagra at some point in the year. They take place at different times throughout the year. So these are some that take place in September. So you have the Pistacchio Festival, or Pistachio, and that happens in Bronte, which is near Mount Etna in Sicily. And Bronte is where the best pistacchi come from. And if you've ever been there and have had the pleasure of tasting the pistacchi in Sicily, the flavor, there's so much more flavor than what we have here in the US. Another one is the Sagra del Fico, and Fico means fig. It happens in Baccareto in Tuscany. And every day of the sagra features a different unique dish that includes figs. So even penne pasta with figs, which sounds really exotic, but I'd love to try it. The next one is a pasta festival. So this happens in Foligno. Foligno. I don't know why these the names of these villages are tripping me up today. Foligno in Umbria is the region. So it's called I Primi d'Italia. Primi, that's what they call the first course dishes, the primi. Un primo, two primi. Janice says, holy moly, I want Sicilian pistachios and Italian almonds. Oh yeah, yeah girl, they're so good. Especially when they make, I would say this, but especially when they make gelato from the pistacchi, they're so good. And I don't usually like gelato. I don't usually like pistachio gelato. But when it's made with really high quality pistacchi, I love it so much. I don't know. There must be like an artificial flavor in the low quality gelato that I'm just like, don't like it. But when it's good, it is so good. So yeah, the pasta fest is called I Primi d'Italia. So primi are what they call the first course dishes. So when you are eating a typical Italian meal, you have, you know, I'm not going to go through all the courses because there's a bunch, but your pasta course is the first course, which isn't the very first thing you eat, because before that you would have had some other like appetizers and things, but it's the first solid dish that you have. So this is a whole festival to celebrate and explore first courses. So you have not only pasta, but also risotto is a type of primo, polenta, and soup. Those are all types of primi. So you have 4 days. This is another reason I love Italian festivals. They really go all out. Even the tiniest village where you wouldn't even think they would go to the trouble of putting something on, they put it on and they do it right, and they do it for days on end. So you have 4 days of tastings, demonstrations, and cooking shows based on first course dishes. I'd love to go to that one. I love pasta. Okay, so the next one is a Naples pizza party. It's called Pizza Village. So I can just imagine the Italian accent, Pizza Village. It's a week of pizza performances, workshops, music, and shows. And I have a photo for this one as well, if I can manage to show you. Share screen. Okay, so I think you can possibly see this as well. So here's a giant pizza they made one year, which is pretty wild. And then here is a huge pizza that was, I think it said a mile long. It broke a world record, a Guinness World Record for the longest pizza. So yeah, I would love to pull up a chair to that table. That would be amazing. It takes me a second to get my screen set up again so I can see the comments. Okay, so sorry. The next one is Sagra delle Lenticchie. Lenticchie, it means lentil. So this happens in Santo Stefano di Sessiano, and it's a town in Abruzzo, the region of Abruzzo. So this is a food festival that is completely dedicated to the humble lentil. So you might not even think of lentils in Italy, but it is actually one of their favorite legumes. People get really excited about lentils. I'm not a huge lentil fan, but I've yet to try it in Italian food. I was just thinking, I don't think I've ever actually had a dish with lentils. It's more something you find when you're eating at home with locals in certain regions. Then another food festival is il Festival Internazionale del Brodetto e delle Zuppe di Pesce. Sorry, let me try that again. It's a long one. Il Festival Internazionale del Brodetto e delle Zuppe di Pesce. It means International Festival of Broth and Fish Soups. So yeah, it gets really random, y'all. They like to celebrate everything. Another one is mandorle, so that is almonds. They have a festival for, or a sagra for almonds in Conversano in the region of Puglia. Almonds are grown in Puglia. So you can always see almond trees flowering, and they take like, they'll have like or they'll organize little walks through the almond flowers and things like that. So it's fun. They also have latte di mandorla, which I talked about last week in the one about coffee. Latte di mandorla literally means almond milk, but it's actually more like an almond syrup. And they'll have a special type of coffee where they add this almond syrup to the coffee and add ice. It's really good. Another one is in Tuscany's town of Capalbio. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. It's going to celebrate the 55th Sagra del Cinghiale this year. So that's a sagra for wild boar. They'll have all kinds of dishes based on wild boar. And they'll also have Spettacoli Equestri dei Butteri. That means equestrian cowboy shows, which is, so I love talking about the butteri because people don't realize that cowboys exist outside of the US. So yeah, Italy has cowboys, especially in an area of Tuscany called Maremma. And so yeah, at this festival for wild boar, they'll have a show where they kind of do things in formation with the horses and demonstrate their abilities with roping bulls and things like that. So another one is, oh, sorry, I wanted to see this comment here. Yeah, okay, so Gardi Guha says, latte di mandorla from Lecce, yum. Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you've had a chance to taste it. In Lombardy, there is the sagra for mushrooms, which they call Fungolandia. I love that name. It's like mushroom land, Fungolandia. And they, you can join them to go searching for mushrooms in the forest, and they'll cook with them in all different kinds of ways and all different kinds of activities based around mushrooms. And finally, also in Lombardy, there's the tortello di zucca sagra. So tortello di zucca is basically pumpkin ravioli. And this is the perfect season to start eating pumpkin ravioli, more towards the end of September when the squash is ripe. So this is just a sampling. Almost every little village at some point in year has a sagra. So I'm going to review quickly the ones that I went through, and I want you to put in the comments which festival you would pick first to go to. What's your favorite? Which one sounds the most enticing? So we've got medieval festivals in general. There are tons. You can find them anywhere, all different times of year. Same basic concept. Number two was the donkey race. Number 3 was the Baroque Music Festival. Number 4 was Corsa dei Zingari, or Gypsy Race. That's the barefoot race. The Kite Festival in Urbino. The Clown Festival. Tour of Giants. That's the one where they do that really difficult trail in the Alps that has to be done in less than 150 hours, and it's over 200 miles of running. And then we have all the food festivals: pistacchi, figs, pasta, pizza, lentils, broth and fish soups, almonds, cinghiale, wild boar, mushrooms, and tortello di zucca, pumpkin ravioli. So put in the comments which one is your favorite, which one sounds the most exciting that you would love to go to right now if you could. I think for me, let's see, probably a food one, but it's hard to pick. Probably the pasta one, because there's so many different varieties, so many different types of pasta to try. They invite famous chefs there, and it's a really big event. That sounds fun. But then I'd also love to be at some little tiny village that's celebrating just one tiny little thing like lentil. Honestly, I'd be really curious to go to the lentil festival just to see, like, how can they make lentils exciting? I wanna see how well they can do with lentils. So Janice says, I would definitely go to the different food festivals, and I'd go to the clown festival too. Yeah, that one sounds interesting as well. I'd love to see that too. Cool. Okay, so like I said at the beginning, visiting these very local events is a really fun way to soak up a lot of culture in a short time. You can just show up in this village, spend the whole day or even multiple days, and the culture basically comes to you. So if there's one tip that I can leave you with, it's to always search the name of the region where you'll be going, where you'll be visiting, and like search. So if you're going to Tuscany, you'll search Tuscany plus Italian terms for festivals. So Sagra or Sagre for multiple, Sagre in Toscana. Or actually the Italian word for festival is just festival. They borrowed the English. Or just eventi. If you just search eventi, like event with an I at the end. Plus, so use those keywords all in Italian and then search with the name of the region in Italian that you're going to. And yes, you'll have to use Google Translate to like kind of figure things out, but that's a great way to kind of be in the know about what's going on in the area you're going to be in. A lot of times when you search for festivals in English in the places you're going, you'll get lists of festivals that are all the main biggest ones where all the tourists will be as well. So if you can search in Italian, you'll be more with locals and kind of feel like you're immersed and part of the culture. So I would encourage you to try to Google in Italian and use Google Translate as your friend. And yeah, Italians are so good at celebrating and putting on events. Even tiny villages put on really professional and impressive events. I feel like here in the US, if it's a small town, we just kind of accept like, oh, we're small, there's not enough interest. There's no reason to put an event on for this tiny little village or tiny little town. But in Italy, that doesn't stop them. And they put on like amazing art installations and music concerts and the things they have to engineer to fit through these tiny alleyways to set up, to build a stage, and like it's amazing what they do. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this topic, and if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy hearing about festivals and unique events in Italy, and I'll do more in the future for different months and different times of year. Don't forget, if you like the Zoom background here, then check out the link in the description where you can get the free Zoom backgrounds for your Zoom meetings. It also helps with daydreaming. If you have to be in a lot of really long, boring meetings, then you might as well get to kind of stare at a beautiful Italian landscape, right? And these are all of places that are off the beaten path and lesser known little places in Italy. So they're really cool. Yeah, so don't forget to grab that in the link in the description and come back next week for another coffee chat. We do these every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you have ideas for topics you'd like us to cover, let me know. We also bring on some guests and do different things. So we're open to your ideas. This is for you. So let us know what you want. Okay, that's all for now. Bye. Ciao.